Hey everyone, Voltage here. Welcome back to the second round of my Autumnal tournament. I still don't really know the name. I don't know if I'll ever actually truly figure it out. That's okay. So we're gonna roll with this. Anyway, so this week I was paired up with NEOMON, who is a very competent battler. They were in Cap Team tournament. I don't remember what team they were on though, so I don't pay attention to people like that. No, I'm just kidding. But in any case, this is sort of the replays, my commentaries of that. Before we begin, if you want to stay tuned for more, that'd be great. Click like, subscribe, all that garbage, and let's get started. So right out of the gate, I have Rain here versus what he's got, like Cyclant and Plasmanta. When I saw this, it's like a weird offense kind of, with Chansey too. I wasn't really sure what to make of this team, but I did know that with Rain against Plasmanta is never a good sign, especially he's got Superior and Plasmanta, so, and I don't normally bring, like, archetype teams. I don't really bring, like, Rain, Sand, Trick Room all that often, so I figured I'd try Carabolt Rain. I wanted to build around it, and yeah, so we get started. Looking at his team from matchup, it is winnable, but I know for a fact that I need to either win with Swampert or Magearna. Excuse me. And bringing Magearna in a post-Libra meta is always a little risky, so this is all-out pummeling here, just in case there was an Equilibra or something. Or, in this case, Magnezone. Sorry, I got hit by a weird shit. Oh, no. In any case, so right out of the gate, I'm going to lead Pelipper probably as my best bet against whatever he really wants to lead, but it's going to be a bit of a mess just in general, and I'm going to have to play decently smart about things, but again, Rain is not terribly difficult to play if you know what you're doing, so we're going to do with that. So I begin. I begin with leading my Pelipper, and he leads with Plasmanta. Right out of the gate, Plasmanta is by far his best lead because it just does a ton to my entire team. Magearna is really my only switch-in for it, aside from Pert sometimes too, depending on this is running like Grass Knot or HP Grass, I don't remember. But anyway, I stay in with this thing, or I switch out, into Pert. Just on if it wants to go for Thunderbolt, that's fine. It goes for a sub though, which is fine because Pert can do a ton. I didn't expect him to have a grass type move. He goes for Sludge Bomb, which is fine. And now what I do is I could go for an Earthquake here, but I go for the rocks on his switch. That's mainly just because I knew he wasn't going to try to sack that Playback that early. So I go into my Tornadus as he doubles into Serp here. I knew that he wasn't going to try to stay in, and if I did go for like a Waterfall, it would be a bad call. Or an Ice Punch too. But regardless, I don't stay in there. I switch out into my Tornadus as he goes into Superior. And now what I do is I click Hurricane with the 100% accuracy. I don't get why he stayed in there. Superior does quite a bit of work on my team. But he sends in Mag. And at this point I'm thinking, okay, he could just click Thunderbolt. But then, like, he risks me just doing a hard into Pert. So I'm going to call his bluff and go for a U-turn here as he switches into Chansey. I don't really get that play that well, but I just go into Carabolt. Because now, with Carabolt, I can set up. So here's the thing, right? I was fully expecting him to switch out into like a Landorus or a Plasmanta here on my Swords Dance. But his Chansey's just going to get up his own rocks. So now it's okay, because now I'm at +1 when this Landorus comes in. And I do go for a return here. That was probably a misplay. I probably should have gone for a Power Whip there, just for consistency. But that's fine. He goes for Defog, and I click Power Whip here. Unfortunately, I miss. That does about 70 to 60%, I think, on Landorus, which is fine. And I go for another Power Whip here, and I get some good chip on Magnezone, pop the balloon, so I can actually deal with it with Pert. As he goes back into Landorus again, gets me back to 0, and I go for a return. I probably should have gone for Power Whip there, but it is what it is. He U-turns here, and I'm just going to SD again on this Plasmanta. And now here's the play that's going to happen. I go for Power Whip here, just because I was certain he was just going to hard back into his Landorus on my return, because return does like 80, whereas Power Whip only does like 60. So that does unfortunately cause me to lose my Carabolt, but that's not a huge problem just because Carabolt wasn't doing a ton anyway. So I go into Magearna here, and I go for Shift Gear on his switch, and he goes into his zone, which allows me to go for all-out pummeling right here. I probably could have just gone for Focus Blast, but then I risked the miss, so I just decided against it. So I go for the all-out pummeling, and I get the +1. I go into Focus Blast now. He should have soft-boiled right here just to, like, outright prevent me from doing anything. But instead he goes for Rocks, which, like, I guess is fine if I'm not bringing in Pelipper or Tornadus to get some chip. But, like, he's already playing from a down position where I have a Magearna that's, like, plus +1 attack, +2 speed, +1 special attack. Focus Blast 2 AKOs with good rolls. And I do, in fact, get a decent roll. Both were on the higher end, but, like, it was still within range. It wasn't a weird thing. So he sends in his Landorus. I just go for Ice Beam. And at this point, Magearna is just able to sweep just because of the fact that its coverage is crazy. So yeah, I just go for Thunderbolt, knock out the Cyclant, or Cyclant, and he forfeits. So I do take game 1 with the Magearna cleanup, which is really nice. That is actually kind of one of the things I predicted I'd have to do. So it worked out great. So now, on to game 2. I'm going to have to switch the sides. So right out of the gate, I'm going to reset this for you all so I can talk about it from my perspective. This team was actually given to me by my buddy Agena, who has been very helpful with, just a lot of stuff. So Agena passed me this team with DD Oromoth and Megatar, and looking at it, it was fun, so I thought I'd give it a whirl. But this matchup is not good at all, just because when you consider the speeds of my opponent's team, you've got like 370, 357, 375. This is likely Scarf, and this is like, Mega Chomp, probably. At the very minimum, it's going to be 333 before it Megas. So this is a very fast team, and the fastest member on my squad is this Scarf Lele. So, and then it's Tornadus. So obviously I have to play probably even smarter than before, because Rain can be pretty mindless, shout out to Frostbite. But this team requires sort of a lot more focus and like knowing what I need to do. That said, Scarf Lele does in fact outspeed most of the members on his team aside from Kit, and it does put chunks of damage in. So I sort of identified that Scarf Lele and maybe DD Oromoth would be good for this fight. So we're going to get back into it now as he leads Serp and I just lead Tornadus because as usual I'm a very predictable person. If I can U-turn turn 1, I will most likely do so. Maybe he watched the video before, I don't really know. But I could click Hurricane, I could click U-turn here, so he switches into Gastrodon, but I click Knockoff. That's just because, in any case, whatever comes in, I just want to get rid of his items. So I knock off his leftovers here, and I do a U-turn. Now into my Pharaoh on his Scald or Toxic, and he goes for Scald, but he does get the burn, which is very unfortunate for me, because now that means I can't put in much work with Pharaoh. He recovers now as I just set up layers of spikes, and so he thinks I might be trying to do like multiple layers of spikes. But I actually go for a Leech Seed here just to get some chip on Tornadus that comes in. And then now what's going to happen is he's going to U-turn here, get some chip on himself, but I'm just going to set up another layer of spikes on his switch into Superior, just so that I click Gyro Ball. I don't know what I was thinking there. Just get some chip off on the faster mons. So I switch out here into Tornadus Therian on this Serp's sub, and at this point I'm thinking, okay, it's a sub Superior, he's probably got Glare, that's fine. I just need to get this out from behind its sub, because sub Superior is really dangerous for my team. So I click Hurricane, not being too afraid, as he does Glare me, making my team even slower. I realize that that's kind of an issue for me, but like now with the sub, I can pull off slower U-turns, or excuse me, the pair I can pull off slower U-turns, which is what I'm going to end up doing here, which is really nice. So I send in my Lele, and now this is like immediately threatening anything he wants to send in, because nothing can take, with one layer of spikes, nothing's going to be able to take 2 Psychics, even this Kitsuno. So, which is actually what we find out, because Kit comes in, and then I just go for a Psychic, that will 2H KO. So nothing he has can switch in. So he switches back into Garchomp as I just switch into Pharaoh. The reason I switch into Pharaoh here is because Kit being his switch in for Scarf Lele, or Lele in general, just tells me that this thing is probably faster than a Scarf Lele. I don't know if he thought that this was Scarf, or if he just thought this was like Specs or something, but I was not going to risk my Lele just because it is my win condition. I could have stayed in Psychic, but that would have been really risky, especially if he goes for like a Meteor Mash. So I switch into Pharaoh just on anything he wants to do. As, Chomp comes in, and I think he rocks here on my switch into something, but I just set up a layer of spikes, knowing full well that this Ferrothorn is not going to be doing a ton, just because Power Whip isn't going to be doing anything to Gastrodon. So I sack the Pharaoh, and I bring in Tapu Lele again, knowing full well every time it comes in, it's going to pressure something. So I just go for a Moonblast here, because I know Psychic wouldn't 2KO, and Moonblast is just going to knock out this Tornadus just like that. So down that goes, and in comes Gastrodon here. So I switch out my Lele again into this Gastrodon East on this Toxic that's coming in. Sure enough, the Toxic does come out. And at this point I'm thinking, okay, I could just Toxic its own Gastrodon, which is nice. But he actually goes into Serp here on my Toxic, meaning that now Superior can't actually get up another sub, and that it's forced to basically go for Leaf Storm. So that's really cool. So Tornadus, I bring it in, and it goes for Leaf Storm. And at this point I'm thinking, okay, I can just sort of threaten with Tornadus. I don't really need it because it's paralyzed. It's not going to be outspeeding a ton. So I go for a U-turn, basically leaving it as sack fodder, and I go into Tar. This is a misplay on my part. Here's why. He has Mega Chomp that has Sand Force, and I have an Oromont that when it comes in against these rocks, it's going to get chipped from that and the sand, meaning that it can't stay in and do 2 HKOs. So that's a poor choice on my part. But I'm not going to go for Defog on my own Tornadus because it's dead and his Tornadus is gone, which had his Defog, meaning that hazards are going to be up for the rest of the game. So that's a mistake on my end. So I go into Tar, and then I switch back into Torn on this Kerfs, whatever it wants to do, Focus Blast in this case, and I do sack my Tornadus, which is fine. And so now I bring in my Lele once again just to click basically Psychic and kill something. As he goes into Gastrodon, thinking he could probably tank a hit, but 2 Psychics are going to knock this out, especially under terrain, even with like being immune to sand. Also the fact that 3 of his Mons are immune to sand in this case, and only 2 of mine aren't. So that was, going Tar there was maybe not the greatest play, but like there's not much else I could do, mainly because I was trying to save Oromoth maybe for a win as well to clean up. So it is what it is. So he goes into Kit here, and at this point I'm just going to switch into my Tyranitar to like try to get rid of whatever it might be. And he goes for Meteor Mash, so I knew I made the right play. And now I go into my Oromoth. This is the move, this is the situation right here. I'm at 76%, and I calc this. Meteor Mash is going to be doing about 33 to 41%, meaning that with low rolls, I do in fact live 2 Meteor Mashes. Only barely, but still, it's not going to be enough where if I do 1 DD, I'm not going to outspeed this. So it's frustrating, but I had to make a call here. I could either go for Zen Headbutt, just try to get some chip on either Kerf or Chomp, whichever one wants to come in, or I could try to DD here and maybe play aggressively and get the win with Oromoth right here. What I decided to do is I just decided to click Zen Headbutt just because I knew Lele is also a win condition, and the problem is though that since I have no guard, Fire Blast hits and I go down. And at this point, we're in the late game, we're in the end game basically. I send in my Lele, and now here's what's going to happen, right? This is what's going through my head. Right now, I have this Lele that is threatening him in a bunch of different ways. So I can either click Psychic, the terrain is going to come up by the way, so yeah, terrain is up, and now this Garchomp, no matter what I do, I outspeed it, I will knock it out. He could either keep this alive, go into Kerf and take a hit and die, but then he doesn't have a way to beat Gastrodon really a ton, and Lele will still outspeed this. He doesn't want to go into Kit because he will like lose to whatever attack I do. So he has to stay in with Garchomp and sack this. So, and then what he would have to do from here is he would either go into, he'd have to go in this Kitsuno because I outspeed Kerf and he knows that I'm Scarf. So he has to go into Kit, and that means I have to go into Gastrodon and live 2 of whatever Kitsuno wants to do in order to win this game. So at this point, it's kind of, the remaining turns are all played out. So now we sort of see exactly what goes on. Sure enough, I do predict that I Psychic and he sacks this, and he does send in Kit, which does threaten this. I go into Gastrodon as expected, and at this point, Gastrodon has to live basically 2 Shadow Strikes or 2 Meteor Mashes, likely Shadow Strikes, in order for me to win this game. If he gets a crit on Shadow Strike, I lose. If he either misses one or hits both, but I live, and Scald this, then I win. So, the first Shadow Strike connects. However, I'm still in range of surviving one just because Shadow Strike is doing 35 to 41%. So the only thing that can cause me to lose now is a crit. Unfortunately for him, he actually misses the Shadow Strike here, and I'm able to Scald and knock him out. I could have Earthquaked as well, but, you know, or Earth Powered. So now, and that's basically it, because now his Kerf comes in, knocks this out, Lele comes in, knocks that out. So good game, NEOMON. I actually win in 2 matches, which is kind of neat. And now I have moved on to the 3rd round, the round of 8 players. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, thanks again for watching. Thanks to Agena for passing me this team. And if you enjoyed this video, please let me know. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, message me on smogan.com. I don't know. It's fine. And stay tuned for more videos coming in the near future. Until next time, catch you all later, and have a happy Halloween! I don't know why I did that.